I'm Dave Fleming, Senior Leader at Aldea Spiritual Community. When you hear the word calm, what does it evoke in you? I mean, how would you describe calm? Is it a positive word? Like, I feel so calm. Or does it have negative connotations? Like, calm down, will ya? For the next 4 weeks, we're going to explore, beginning today, this idea of calm. Today, we'll look at the anatomy and biology of calm and what it's like to experience calm. Then we'll look in week 2 at finding calm in and through nature. In week 3, we'll talk about being calm at work. And then in the last week, we'll go back and really talk about body practices that help us focus on calm. Throughout this series, we invite you to grab a few friends, download our reflective guide that's the companion to each of the podcasts, and have a conversation of your own, just like we're having. See where the conversation takes you, just like we're going to see where the conversation takes us. If this is the first time you've joined us for an Aldea podcast, we're delighted that you're choosing to spend this time with us. Aldea is a national online and on-ground community holding love as its highest value. We seek to live lives of meaning, wisdom, and purpose. And we do that through exploring the real wisdom of science and philosophy and spirituality, wellness, well-being, finding all of that under the umbrella of wisdom. And we want to live that, not only so that we're transformed as individuals and as tribes, but then we can manifest that change in the world to make it a better place. So we're delighted that you've joined us today. There is a reflective guide that you can use to take the conversation further. You can download that right on the page where you're watching this podcast. Grab a few friends, start an Aldea group, and have a conversation about calm. If you're a part of our community, thank you so much for your support, for walking through the rhythms of the year with us, and right now focused on the concept and the idea of calm. If you believe in what we're doing, you can donate to support us at loveperiod.org. Loveperiod.org. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about calm. Well, I'm joined today in our conversation by two conversationalists who have a lot to say about calm. I'm looking forward to this conversation and have been for some time. So let me introduce them, and then away we go. Scott Hamstra, give a wave. Scott is a physician and chief medical officer for STC Health. After graduation from Northwestern University Medical School and pediatric residency and pediatric infectious disease fellowship training, Scott moved to Arizona to spend the next 24 years. Man, you don't look that old, Scott. The next 24 years as U.S. Public Health Officer with the White Mountain Apache Tribe and the Tohono O'odham Nation. While performing inpatient, outpatient obstetrics, and emergency medicine, he also served as the preventative medicine officer focused on wellness and disease prevention. In 2020, Scott responded to the pandemic on two fronts, caring for ill people while also working on prevention efforts, including vaccination planning and data infrastructure. And then Kevin Skinner, who served as the senior leader of Aldea for 25 years. Also, no way. You don't look that old. Along the way, he also began working in the learning and development field and providing personal and leadership development training and coaching for companies across the US and abroad. He currently works in the utility industry, specializing in leadership development and change management. He has a doctorate in marriage and family therapy. Kevin's been married to Sylvia for, 40 years. 40 years. And you're only what, 47?
Exactly. Yep.
They have 3 sons, 2 daughter-in-laws, and 2 amazing grandchildren. Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and I'll read this part. Kevin is also a passionate fan of the Minnesota Vikings, which is really the only trouble spot in our relationship, you and I, Kevin. But other than that, hey, thank you for all being here today. How calm are you today?
I'll go first. I am not calm at all today. I will. I say with a smile on my face, it's ironic we're speaking today of things like calm and presence and equanimity, and I haven't had the practice or the experience of those things at least since I began my workday at 8.
Yeah, I hear you there. Scott, how's your day been?
Yeah, I would say likewise. I had a momentary, glimpse of it when I first got up and I walked the dogs in the forest and meditated, and then all kinds of stuff hit the fan.
That's such a nice way to say it. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. I had some nice calm, and then I had a conversation that took me out of that calm. And then I'm trying to find my way back to it. And I'm hopeful that this conversation helps with that, because the only thing that would be better is if we were sitting around a table, say at a brewery. But
can we do that?
Well, we can. We're in 3 different locations, Scott, so that is not happening today.
But we could at least grab the beer and
we could, absolutely. So I want to open up a conversation and let's just explore it together. When you think about calm and the description of it, the feeling of it, the experience of it, what's it like?
it's that heavy sigh that I have everything I need. I have the time and the space and the energy. It's just all good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. 2 words came to my mind when you posed the question, and the 2 words were spacious and expansion. And I think those really describe how I feel in a moment of calm, which can come through any number of means. But it's that idea for me of, the space around me feels open, and the space within me feels at peace within it. So that, that time the sense of time sort of expands, and the sense of presence, it becomes spacious for me.
Yeah, Scott, even your that the sound you made somehow connects, Kevin, to what you're talking about.
Yep, when you said it, Scott, I could feel it. I'm like, yep, that's precise. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I feel it in my body. And I also feel the opposite of it. So from a biological standpoint, like when I think of calm, I think of sort of this more relaxed, tension-free feeling that, like even yesterday, I got something about midway through my morning that had related to my work, and it was an email that came to me, and it just torqued me. And immediately I had this sense of not calm in my body. And for me, that's like a tight chest and a feeling of feeling trapped. I feel like I'm either getting cornered or pent up in some way. That's what I feel. Mm-hmm. That's the opposite of calm for me in my body. And I think the opposite of calm for me in my mind is just holding on to a thought and going to town with it. And so I would say a calm body and a focused or clear mind would be somewhat the way I would describe it.
Yeah. The opposite space, the word that has that I've focused on a lot is unsettled. Is the opposite of calm for me. And you know, it can get unsettled has wide semantic range. But just that unsettled space where, you know, I'm troubled by something internal, external, or the overlap between the two.
Okay. So all right. So here's a thought, Kevin and Scott, just for us to play with in this. So let's stay with the unsettled piece, because when you were saying that, the thought I had was, well, can I be calm in a space of unsettledness? So you see where I'm going with that? Like, it's almost like the picture of this series, you know, is you've got the little sailboat on one side moving across, and it's all calm, and then you see a storm over here.
Yeah.
And so, like, what's the difference between the unsettledness for you both that is not a calm picture and being calm in unsettledness? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it does. I think that unsettled is an invitation to calm, but it means being, for me, being consciously aware that I am unsettled, so that I don't just continue in that space where I'm unsettled in, you know, there's chatter, I'm feeling things, my chest gets tight, which mine does as well. Like, that is like that little moment of it kind of like the flag is being raised saying, hey, do you want to get lost in this? Because that's an option. Or do you want to let this be a moment that raises awareness to say, oh, I'm unsettled, but I can return to calm and to presence and to my being if I choose to, and, you know, and cultivate a practice or two that give me a handhold. But that's how I find it. I mean, I can run down both paths. Like, I can be unsettled without awareness for a long time, and it's just churning, or I can by bringing awareness to the unsettled, feel that invitation to be like, all right, I'm unsettled, but that doesn't have to be a permanent state. I can get back to the state I'd rather be in, even when the situation around me is the same.
Yeah.
So I think your pictures are kind of good metaphors. I mean, it's easier to be calm in the calm sea than in the turbulent one. But you can be turbulent in a calm sea.
Oh.
You can be calm in a turbulent sea.
Ouch.
And I know there's plenty of times where I could be sitting on the beach and my brain and heart and mind are not calm.
Right.
And then there are times where I'm in the middle of an ER with crashing bad things happening around, and you're just in the moment and you're calm. Calm doesn't mean you're limp and flaccid and floppy. Calm just means that you are poised and alert and mindful and able to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And not panicked. And I mean, we had to train ourselves to that, because, man, when that hits the door, I mean, panic rises to,
right.
You know, and so, you know, the first thing you do is take your own pulse, you know, just to breathe and recognize you're not the sick one or hurt one, they are. So calm down and do what you are trained to do. You know,
that sounds like a flow state to me.
It is. Right? It is. I think that's exactly right. And I think it's easier to be in that state when it's calm around you. And so we kind of seek that vacation space because it's easier on us. But that doesn't demonstrate that you've got good functionality in this. What demonstrates it is when you can step into the frickin' world and things are happening all around you and you're just there. And I had some incredible mentors who were amazingly calm and amazingly effective in chaos. And I was like, whoa, I don't know if I'll ever be like that. It's a good goal.
Kevin, you mentioned calm and flow state. We all have a mutual friend, Stephen Panabianco, who's a mind-body specialist, an MD like you are, Scott, mind-body specialist. And he wasn't able to participate today, but I asked him to send me something that might he's thinking about. And so, Matt, can we put the Stephen quote up? Because this really puts it into, I think, what we're talking about right now, and even about flow. He said, calm is both physical and mental, as well as observational. It is the paradox of letting go to gain control. And that results in a lovely state of flow in which, although we are engaged, less life effort is required. That's lovely.
Right. Yeah. I love that, the paradox of letting go to gain control. My first take on that is to gain control of this. I let go of all that so that I can be in that state of flow in this moment and less efforting required. Love that.
Yeah. It's so okay. So Kevin, why couldn't you get there this morning, or did you get there? Why is this so fluctuating for us? I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can we talk about that a little bit? I mean,
yeah.
Can you change that for me?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. It's the specific context for me today was just, a high stakes meeting after high stakes meeting of, and shifting gears between them. And all of them super stretching. And so, so I was just in the churning it out space, and feeling the calm was diminishing, internally for me. I think there are things that I do regularly in those moments that actually help me get out of that unsettled, stuck space and into calm, focus space. And I love, Scott, the point of calm isn't just like I really think a flow state and calm are it's a state of calm. And I love Steve's comment about less efforting, because we're in flow. We can be working very hard with tons of focus, with bringing amazing kind of energy, but the state we're in is just that flow state. And I think there's so many options along the way. Do you want to get lost in the unsettled? Do you want to shift into a flow state or into a more focused space, or truly internal calm, sort of space? And I think one of the great questions is, what do we do to shift? So when we're aware we've gotten into that less than calm space or unsettled space, or however we want to frame it, what have we found effective that with awareness we bring ourselves back?
Yeah. I see your wheels turning over there, Scott.
Oh, well, I was thinking, I mean, certainly you need to have your quick, fixes, whether that's take your own pulse, or like a lot of times when I'm really anxious, I'll go wash the dishes. I mean, it seems totally stupid, because it's like, wait, you have a ton to do. What are you doing sort of what we call, I forget what they're called now, but they're basically daily functions, they're activities of daily life, but it centers me and calms that, so then I can go back to the task, even though it looks like you're wasting time, or I can feel like it mentally, but I'm like, no, it's weird that I learned to do that, And I was thinking, we have great examples right now with the Olympics or with musicians who are in the flow. I mean, they are calm in the middle of a incredible athletic endeavor, whether it's on the uneven bars or the 4-inch wide balance beam, or in a relay race, or in some other kind of activity. They can't be floppy. They have to be very in the flow, but they can't panic, or things go, if they get in their mind and they don't sync, they lose it. And we've seen Simone struggling with, my mind and body are not in sync. They're twisted, she said. I never heard that before, the twisties. But,
right.
But, and she's elite. I mean, not just elite right. Among the elite.
Right.
And yet
she's at the top of the elite.
To this too.
Yeah.
So I think the thing is that life, we have to be very kind to ourselves, because it's our built-in biology, and it sucks because it puts us into fight or flight all the time. And then we manufacture artificial ways to get into fight or flight now. And it's instant on and instant anxiety and instant stuff. And we have to use our brain to overpower this evolutionary sort of innate autonomic system that automatically goes. We don't have any control over it, but we can notice, oh, it's happening, and then we can take some other approach.
Right. Which gets to some of the biology of calm. I mean, this is what's really powerful about this, and something I think is important to come back to often, is that I think there's been a tendency, particularly in the West, to dichotomize the physical and the spiritual. That there's a physical world, and then we've added a layer, whether it's through religious dogma or beliefs or something, we've added something else that is, quote, spiritual. But really it seems like the best way to view that is not as dichotomous or dual in nature, but one that, I like to say the most spiritual or spirituality is nothing more or nothing less than a well-lived life, and in every layer of that life. And I appreciate what you're saying here, because sometimes I think we're looking for spirituality or spiritual practice to be something other than what we're talking about right now. Yeah, that's your body. That's the everyday sort of, base part of life. But let's really get to something spiritual. But man, what we're talking about is spiritual practice. I mean, washing the dishes. There's nothing more spiritual you could do in that moment, Scott.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think we've struggled a lot with this dualistic idea, this struggle with the animal, that somehow we feel bad about our animal nature and we want to be above it or something. But I mean, there's nothing more spiritual than a hug, or, I mean, you can find it in anything if you just sort of look at it through those kind of tinted glasses.
Yeah. So this takes us a little deeper in then to the idea of oneness, that our biology and that which we tend to think of as spiritual practice are actually really related and powerfully related. And, I mean, something that really, for me, is quite powerful is just to understand how our biology is involved in either producing or decreasing our calm. And I mean, Scott, you can talk way more intelligently about this than Kevin or I can. The anatomy of our biology so much better. But I mean, I'm just fascinated by this idea of what you said. We have this autonomic nervous system, and there's a part of it that activates the fight or flight. which, by the way, is not all bad, right? We need it.
Oh, no.
Right.
No, there's real survival and benefits to having this be automatic. Can you imagine if you had to worry about breathing?
Yeah, that'd be rough.
Thinking about your heart beating?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to think about reacting when there's something coming at your head. You want your whole body to just kind of go, whoa.
Yeah.
You want to protect yourself without having to think. It's really fast reaction.
Right. And it generates stress, right? Or energy to get us moving out of danger.
Right.
But at the same time, there's this other part of our autonomic nervous system that brings us down or helps us, I guess, the fight or flight and rest and digest, or the idea of bringing calm, right? The parasympathetic. And Scott and Kevin, both for both, all of us here, like this also the nerves in our body. And I've been recently reading a lot about the vagus nerve, which is this amazingly windy nerve in our body that is up in our cranial area and then down around our heart and down into our gut and all over. This thing roams and has a lot to do with our ability to be calm, but also we can actually create more tone in that nerve, which helps it do its job better. So Scott, give us a little lesson on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you do have these, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing in life. In our body, this homeostasis doesn't mean that we're just flatlined. It means we go this way and this way, this way and this way, so our heart goes beat, relax, our breathing is in and out, and we have this motion. So we have this one thing pushing us toward energy and this other one pushing us toward relax, and they're opposing forces, and it happens at hormonal levels and at nerve levels. And your gut, I mean, if you eat a nice meal and drink some nice wine, your body's like, and it stimulates that whole vagus nerve area to say, okay, let's not activate all that. Let's kind of blunt all that energizing stuff and let's calm and relax. And I mean, I think that's why in the Blue Zones, we talk about wine at 5. It's not really the wine or really at 5. It's the idea that, okay, we're done with all that activity. We're going to pause. We're going to relax with friends and family, and we're going to eat and dine and wine and enjoy this, savor the moment, and just get away from that other stress and do that. And
can it be 5 now?
I was going to say, I feel better just listening to you talk about it.
Right.
Well, and I think that's another thing that you can see is that if you vision this, that's a way to get you into that. I mean, we talk about that sometimes, about getting people in high anxiety to envision the forest or envision the ocean. Water movement, is not good when it's stagnant. The waves have to come in and out. The river needs to flow. And so if you envision yourself on a beach, it's a calming, repetitive thing. And if you can take yourself there in your mind, you don't have to go to Hawaii. You can put Hawaii in your mind. Mm-hmm. We're very powerful that way. You can get there and stop the train from going off the tracks, bring yourself back to the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kevin, I think you're particularly good at this. Like, over the years that I've known you, you seem to really relish non-work activity. Not that you don't also relish working hard, because you have certainly proven that over the years, but you seem to really relish this, and anticipate it and then really experience it.
Right.
I'm not as good at that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think I'm chuckling, especially the anticipated part, because it's it has been a really stressful and stretching time for me. This last X number of whatever unit of time you want to use. And one of the things that I have been doing for quite a long time is I have a chalkboard that's a countdown. And I currently have 15 days till we go on a 2-week vacation. And it's I think 50 days till our fantasy football draft. And like, as soon as those time down, I'll have another X days till holiday season starts, which, as we all know, is Halloween. And then X days till Thanksgiving, X days till Christmas. So that I'm always anticipating those lovely spaces to be in. And to Scott, your point, like I'm seeing myself there. Like, you know, my timer right now on the chalkboard says days till the beach with my love. And, you know, I can see us walking on the beach in Encinitas and hearing the sound of those waves, and feeling the heavy salt air. And yeah, I think it is important to create that in the midst of the stuff of life and the work and the stretch, is to transport ourselves there in little bits so we get a taste of it. And I think that it also it's to stretch our presencing muscle, so that when we're there, we're not looking. I don't want to be on the beach in Encinitas going, okay, now I only have 9 more days and then I have to go home.
You don't have a countdown calendar for that?
No, I really don't. But how do we like, all right, like when you're talking, you know, about the wine at 5, you know, and I literally had an image in my head of sitting with a nice glass of wine and some cheese and sitting on my patio outside and just looking at clouds roll across the sky and just being able to be present to those what could be mundane little moments, but they are the moments of bliss. And to drink that in gives us, I think, a greater fluency to take it in no matter where it is. You know, when we're training ourselves to be present. And of course, there's so many ways to do that, but you know, whether it's wine at 5 or sitting on your cushion or whatever else it is, you know, we're very good at being elsewhere. There's no calm in being elsewhere.
Well, that's an interesting way to put it. There's no calm in being elsewhere.
Yeah. If I'm stressing about what's to come, or I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I know we're just about to wrap up and then I got to get on, like, what's next? Like, I'm not being here with you.
Right.
There's no calm in that. But if I can just be here with you and go, geez, these are 2 guys I really respect and love, and this is a good conversation to be a part of, and you know, why would I want not to be here?
And the interesting thing about this is that these things, again, that we know as spiritual practices, relationship, meaningful relationships, and meditation and certain things, actually now are just being confirmed by science as good for the body and good for, like, for instance, back, Scott, what you were saying about the autonomic nervous system and the vagus nerve and what you do, the relaxing and the calming. I mean, here's some research, Matt, ways to activate the vagus nerve. So I think there's another one. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but we're going to get to that other one. So this is good. So, I mean, take a look at this. So that wandering nerve in our body that helps us calm down. Here are some things that you do. And this is not spirituality being inserted into science. This is coming from science, right? But now you can see this marriage between the two. Breathing techniques, noting, connecting in relationship. I mean, look at this from this is actually from Barbara Fredrickson. This good connection with others is a biological imperative. Whoa. I mean, it's actually good for our biology. And then what we tend to see maybe as a Buddhist practice, the loving kindness meditation, there's actually now science that shows that that is good for your body. That is good for your body when we extend loving kindness, as you said, Scott, to ourselves. And then we also extend that to others. And I thought this was really powerful. Let's go to the other one, Matt, the other little quote here. In Fredrickson's research, she said, what we've found is if you find ways to increase micro moments of good connection, your vagus function improves. And Kevin, I mean, you just said, why do I want to rush past this? You know, I know both of you. This is a good moment. I mean, it's almost like you're toning up your vagus nerve as we're having this, this moment. And it also, I think, for me, points to these little connective moments during the day, which have been hard to have with lots of people right now. But how critical those are, how breathing and meditation and loving kindness, I mean, these are not just, quote, for spiritual people. These are just ways of making more of an expression of health in your life. Yeah, Scott, I mean, just as an MD, you have a really interesting perspective on this.
Yeah, I mean, both as a doctor and as a patient, because you get to be both. But I think it's you get to focus a lot of your time and energy and thought into what's going on, and you realize that I mean, no, it's really false to not think about our ancestors or being very wise. Even if they didn't have the detail of the science, they already knew inherently, this makes sense,
Sure. Yeah.
It's not like you have to go to school to know this. I mean, this living life doesn't require you to go to grad school. You can be, formal education is maybe not even correlated all the time with living well.
Well, I mean, that's probably evident from the three of us. We probably have too much.
No, I mean, there are so many salt of the earth people who are just living fabulously without that kind of formal education, without the complications of formal education, without feeling the pressures of all those kind of roles and duties and responsibilities, who live a more simple life and a very robust and generous and loving, kind, just immense life, but not maybe in the way that sometimes our society has set it up to measure it that way. And so I think we talked a little bit about how powerful it is to use your mind to take you there, anticipating or, envisioning something. I mean, just tripping off some thank yous throughout the day for acknowledging the good things that are happening and sending blessings out to others as they cross your mind, and just smiling and saying hello to people on the street, fellow human beings that if you took a little more time, you could have an amazing conversation maybe, but at least you can acknowledge them. I mean, they're there and you can do that. And you'll find it's interesting what it does for you when you get micro moments of positive interaction, when you don't just simply buy your stuff at the grocery store, but you interact with the clerk, and that you maybe hold the door for someone, or, all these little micro moments. And when you're mindful and you're really present instead of thinking about your next task, those sort of almost I don't think they happen spontaneously per se, but it almost feels like that because you're observant and mindful. And so with that, you're open to what you can do versus you're already somewhere else.
Just letting this breathe a minute, just wherever you want to take it.
I think, Scott, what rings true in what you're saying is I think we're presented all day long, every day, with little moments of opportunity. And it's just really easy to pass them by. Opportunity for gratitude, for kindness, for presence, for connection, for beauty, for savoring. And they, I think we're good at the big moments. Oh, now, but I am on the beach in Hawaii, right? And that's a big thing for those of us who don't live in Hawaii. Bigger yet, even still, for those of us who live in the desert, right? We know that's a big thing, but every day we have moments of brilliance that just are always passing by, and if we're present to them, just to savor and to find that spaciousness throughout our day. I think that's a skill that I'll speak for me and say there are times when I'm really good at it, and then there are times when I'm not. But to notice and be with the whatever is in front of us does, I think, create some of that spaciousness and expansion and calm and peace.
Yeah, I really liked how Scott, early on in our conversation, and it relates to what Kevin just said, I can be in a state of upset, overwhelm, suffering in my mind, in the most externally calm, lovely, beautiful Hawaii I can imagine. And I can also be in a very turbulent external world and find calm. And it seems like that is, that is such a powerful, I know it's the image in a sense of this series, but it's also just a powerful concept that there is probably, Kevin, to your point, more turbulence during the day going on, especially if we're deep into something. And so we might really look to be calm in those moments, or try to be calm in those moments, or realize we're not calm in those moments. But then also really appreciating the moments in nature, or we're going to talk about that more next week, but appreciating those in a way that also brings us more into the moment of calm and presence, so that it doesn't matter whether it's externally turbulent or calm. We're finding a space where we can bring that's powerful. It's just a no-brainer why that's good for your body and your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm embarrassed to say how poorly I functioned in that way in the past. And I would say that meditation is basically a fundamental sort of exercise to build that capacity, because trying to learn fundamentals while you're in the middle of a game is really hard.
Yeah.
It's better to go back to practice and work on a fundamental, and then take it into the game and go, oh, it's not good yet. I got to go back and work on it some more. And then realize one day that suddenly, oh, I can do this now. I've worked on it enough that I'm taking it to the real world and I'm actually functional. And some people might be able to learn on the job in life, but for me, I found more progress more visible or tangible or noticeable difference by practicing meditation. And it's amazing how crazy monkey mind, I mean, trying to sit even for a minute or 3 minutes at the beginning was like, oh my gosh, this is like torture, and now it's a luxury to be able to sit for 20 minutes without having to do anything. I'm still not at the point where some of the people I know have gone for a 7-day silence, solitary thing. I'm like, right now, that's a little fear, like apprehension. I can't disappear for a week in silence.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. When I meditate regularly, I feel more spaciousness inside. No doubt about it. And I think that spaciousness allows there to be a way of handling what's coming differently, or repair if I lose it, repair it more quickly and in a better way. Because of the time. I think it's a really good way to again connect the practice, and that the practice of sitting with my mind and my body is no different than what we're doing right now. But what it does do is reveal the nature of my mind and the way in which my mind operates, and how that can either bring calm or it can take it away, depending on what I do with my mind, which is kind of where we started. Kind of where we started this whole conversation.
Yeah. There's no shortcuts, I mean, it's work, and it's everybody has to do their own work. Nobody can do it for you. You got to do it. It's an inside job. And find little tricks and tips and pearls. Like, one of the things I do is I program into my phone 2 or 3 times during the day just a little reminder to take 5 deep breaths. Because I can be rushing, and it's like, oh yeah. And just even that.
That's gold. That's gold.
Even that. I would have, if you'd had told me that 20 years ago, I would have been, that is stupid. But not now.
Yes, that is gold. That is gold. Well, we were almost down to the bottom of our beer. But is there anything else you want to say as we're wrapping up here about anything we've talked about today, or a way of sort of putting your own bow on this? Anything else from either of you?
Well, I think my last comment will just link to Scott's and say, when you talk about it being work and inside job, the expression that I've come to use in that is this is first person work. Like, we're so good at reading about a practice, or reading about a reality, or reading about the vagus nerve, or can't tell you how many times I've, in doing a talk or whatever, someone will come up and go, "Oh, that was so good. I just wish my partner was here to hear that, because that's what they really need." Like, we're great at third person work, but this is first person work. I have to do the hard work of understanding what gets me into those unsettled, what unsettles me, what are my patterns in that, what practices can pull me to more spaciousness and openness and presence, and just do the work, play the long game of it. It's just a little bit every day, and then maybe once in a while a 2-week silence retreat. I haven't had one, but that would be lovely. Like, I think that's the key for all of us, and to explore in our own lives. What is it that helps me? What practices might I cultivate or extend or rediscover?
Really well done. I mean, I totally agree. The first person idea. And for me, and maybe for others, it's not only first person, but it's not just to answer it here in my head in a rational, analytical way, but it's to experience it. I love to read and be intellectually, that's a crutch, an easy pathway for me to take. It's much harder to actually do meditation than read about it.
Sure.
Easier to read about racism than practice dealing with it. Easier, there's all kinds of things like that. But one of the nice things is you can tell yourself that I draw a line in the sand today. This is the worst I'm ever going to be. Tomorrow I'm going to be better. 1% tomorrow is 365% better over a year. Mm-hmm. So, there's real compound power in time. And I'm impatient. I don't know about you guys, but I want to be there now. And so to give myself the luxury of time to say, I'm on the path, I'll get there. And, I'm just got to just keep one step at a time.
Well, I don't know about the two of you, but my vagus nerve is really happy right now. And I am delighted that we've had this time and this conversation, and I can't thank you enough. And I know this will generate a lot of good conversation for our community. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good to be with you guys.
Yeah.